Hey YouTube, it's me, it's the man who likes to RANT, dropping a fresh VID for you today. And today, of course, we gotta talk about Hell in a Cell 2015, and oh my god, it was amazing! And by amazing, I mean, this is my running candidate for best pay-per-view of the year. But before you get too excited, WWE, look at what you produced over the last few months. Is this anything to get that excited about? But yes, it was good! It was amazingly good! So let's talk about how good. Let's start with the card. Kickoff show. 6-man tag. Ziggler, Neville, and excuse me, Cesaro versus King Barrett, Sheamus, and Rusev. This match was very hard-hitting, very action-packed, and it proved to me that all 6 men, yes, even Wade Barrett himself, deserves a better spot on the card than what he has right now. But WWE has been known to underutilize its talent, especially since it has no major wrestling competitors with which to compete. But I'm rehashing myself. This match did exactly what it should do given the spot on the pre-show. It's supposed to make you want to see what happens at the actual pay-per-view event. That's good. You did good. Neville's streak of hitting the red arrow and keeping his opponents down for 3 seconds continues, and may I just say that Cesaro looked like a beast in this matchup. He looked amazing. You know, I hear commentators talk about how freakishly strong Cesaro is and how amazing he is in the ring. I see fans out there. The Cesaro section was in full force. And yet, the company continues to overlook this beast of a man who should at least be considered for your lower titles if you don't want him as the world title, which I can understand because he does need to work on his mic skills just a little bit. But give him the IC title. Give him the US title. You gave him the US title when he first showed up, when it meant nothing. Give it to him now, and it will help the title be relevant again. Excuse me while I check my spot on the cards here. Next match. John Cena's US Open Challenge. This made me do a double take. It's like, first of all, when Zeb Coulter comes out on his scooter, which is the most space-age looking scooter I've ever seen, and trust me, I've been around a few. Pardon me. I was almost expecting Jack Swagger because of their past association, and it might be a way to revitalize the character. But then again, as we've all found out, Jack Swagger is everything short of irrelevant, if not completely irrelevant. It wouldn't surprise me if he was future endeavored in the next coming months. Pardon me again. I'm really having trouble keeping my throat, but bear with me, people. No, Alberto Del Rio comes out, and then I did a double take because I'm like, what? Alberto Del Rio has never been one of my favorite superstars to watch. He's not bad in the ring. And honestly, having Zeb Coulter fixes one of his big problems because I can't stand him on the mic. So if Coulter's going to be his mouthpiece, I'm actually all for it. What I really need to see is, has his style improved? And from this match it has, because he's apparently decided, I'm not going to try to be a luchador because I'm much bigger for it. Even though WWE loves to play those stereotypes, man. He's from Mexico, we gotta have him wrestle the luchador style. No, you don't. He's not a flipper. His seated senton was not viable when he did it. I was actually happy. The only thing that annoyed me as a purist wrestling fan is you have completely retconned the relationship between Del Rio and Coulter. Because if you all remember the incredibly demoted match of WrestleMania 29 when it was Swagger versus Del Rio for the World Heavyweight title, Coulter and Del Rio hated each other. the roles were reversed. Rio was the babyface, Coulter and Swagger were the heels. So now you've retconned that entire relationship, but given the fact that if you ask WWE, they probably want to retcon WrestleMania 29 as a whole, except for the Cena-Rock rivalry. So maybe this is your way of fixing your giant pothole of a mistake. We'll have to wait and see how this goes. I'm not convinced just yet. Pardon me. Next match. What was it? I'm going to save that one. Divas match. Charlotte versus Nikki. Good match. I think there were spots where Nikki got dropped a few times because she executed a move very poorly, so she ended up hurting herself. It wasn't like Sin Cara botch worthy, but there were a few times where I'm like, oh, that was not intended to go down that way. To her credit, she gutted it out. Actually, I really like that they spent so much time focusing on Charlotte's back as a point of attack, because that makes it much harder to bridge to do the figure eight. And also, on commenting the figure eight, I now see why Charlotte claims that it's better than her daddy's figure four, because I saw Nikki attempt to roll to counter, and what I saw was Charlotte's legs came down right on Nikki, which would, in my mind, only add to the pain. So I haven't found a legitimate way to counter that move yet, in my mind. Perhaps some of my other Wrestling Savant fans would care to comment in my comment section down below if you can come up with a way to counter that hold. I'd love to hear it. Anyway, match ends when Charlotte does finally apply the figure four all the way full bridge, and Nikki taps out. I can only assume that she's going to spend some time with John while he does his fitness show that he's supposed to be going to film. I wonder what they'll be doing in the off time. Surely nothing scandalous. Maybe? Anyway, Paige and Becky come down, and of course Paige makes it all about her, and as we discovered on Raw, Paige is done with Team PCB, and I couldn't be happier, because maybe now when they bring in Natalya as Paige's replacement, not only will that make her relevant again, but I'm really hoping that they take advantage of the talent that Becky Lynch has, because she really is a good wrestler. You wouldn't know it, because the one comment Paige made in this heel turn is that Becky has been made the most irrelevant member of Team PCB, and that saddens me to a great degree. It saddens me because Paige is absolutely right, and it saddens me that WWE has so greatly misused another piece of well-placed female talent. I mean, seriously, if you haven't watched Becky Lynch's stuff from NXT, I highly recommend that you do so. Even the early age stuff when she was fully aged into the Irish gimmick, where she came out doing an Irish jig before she found herself. Even then, she wasn't bad. You could just tell she was struggling to truly find her identity and her charisma. She's got it now. Now they just need to put it to use. But that's on a certain balding, crotchety, I've got a corncob up my ass walking old man Vince McMahon. But I ragged on him enough in my last video. Oh boy. So that's on, and now Charlotte and Paige are most assuredly going to feud after her incredibly unseen backstabbing on Raw. Can't wait, because those two together should be able to steal the show. Now, I want to cover the tag team titles. This surprised me in both a bad and a good way. I'm not sure how I feel about this as a whole, so let me talk you through. New Day comes down short one Xavier Woods. Kayfabe, he was hurt because of the 3D through the table. For any of you curious where he's actually going, if you haven't checked out a dirt sheet yet, he did get married to who? I don't know. I didn't bother to look, but that's why he's actually not there. And I'm fine with that, because you would think it would set up, okay, the Dudleys finally have New Day in a 2-on-2 situation. Surely now they will finally get the win. And no, they didn't, which tells me this rivalry isn't done. That's good, because I think there's a little more mileage to go. But I want to caution WWE, because you don't want this to run too long before the rivalry gets stale. Okay, but, New Day is trying to get chicanery and bad stuff in. They tried to make it look like They tried to make it look like Bubba Ray had hit Kofi Kingston with the trombone. See, I can speak English correctly. Fortunately, in a rare occurrence of a grim vestige of intelligence, the referee almost bought it, and then thankfully decided against it. Now, a little later, Big E would take that trombone and hit Bubba in the back of the head, and Kofi would get the pin. I'm actually fine with that. It shows that New Day is actually the top heel tag team, and I think they did it so that the certain amount of niche fans that actually like the New Day act and are cheering them as babyfaces will finally be quiet. This rivalry is going to end when the Dudleys finally get the New Day members in a tag team elimination table match. Or if you haven't considered that, Vince, you should, because that's a good way for the Dudleys to win a signature match, get their 10th WWE Tag Team title reign, bringing their overall Tag Team title reigns up to 23, which is just freaky in my mind. It's just how it should be done, I think. That's how I would do it if I were in your position. Now, we come to the first Hell in a Cell match of the night. And I gotta tell you, everybody, I was really nervous about this match. Not because I didn't think Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns couldn't give us a good match. It's because in the PG era, Hell in a Cell has been taken so far down from the illustriousness it once had as being the final stop where feuds are decided. If you have a problem with somebody, you're supposed to step in Hell in a Cell, and it's supposed to be the end-all, be-all match. You two are supposed to beat the crap out of each other, and we're finally supposed to know that, okay, this is finally done. And because WWE is so skittish about violence and blood these days, I was genuinely concerned that this match was going to be hampered. Now, they didn't show blood, which ended up being fine, because what they did do was incorporate hardcore elements into the match. Weapons and tables and chairs, and oh my, it was fantastic. It was fantastic because those elements those elements actually gave this match a sense of finality. You could finally tell it was over, because what else could they possibly do to each other? Bravo! It was great. Both men walked away looking like they had been put through hell. Maybe that's why they call it Hell in a Cell. Probably. I loved it. It made Roman Reigns look like a superstar because it made him work. He still got in all his moves. This man could be the superstar WWE wants him to be. Honestly, if you want my opinion on how to push him over the top, I think you really would benefit from turning him heel. And you could have him say things like, I gave the fans everything, and everywhere I went, I was still getting booed. Well, let's see how you like this when I take down your heroes now. because everyone talks about what a beast I am. Well, it's time I let my beast out. Brock Lesnar isn't the only beast in here. Roman Reigns is one. That could work very well. I doubt WWE will try it because they don't seem to have a shred of originality in their bodies. Oh, goodness. Moving on. Let's talk about the Intercontinental title. Now, this was an interesting spot because you had just had, I believe it was the Divas title match in order, and the crowd was still very hyped. This was a good spot for the match to be a cool down. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun. We don't want to talk about the Intercontinental title yet. Instead, we want to talk about the Kane-Seth Rollins match for the world title. I was actually kind of disappointed in this match. The action was okay. Not exactly something I want to write home about. Seth Rollins was good, but I've seen him be much flashier. I think because Kane is really getting on in his years. They wanted him to be more careful. Plus, with him breaking Cena's nose and the fact that Sting got hurt in his match with Seth at Night of Champions, I really think they're trying to have him dial down the flashiness of his moves and how close he pulls it. I'm not saying WWE blames Seth Rollins for either of these things because they were just freakish things, but I think they want him to dial back, which hurts his style and hurt the abilities that could have been demonstrated in this match. Beg your pardon. It was a decent match. I mean, it's not like I couldn't understand why Kane was in pain with what Seth was hitting him with, including the frog splash, which I thought was a cool homage to Eddie Guerrero. Just an okay match. Seth can certainly do better, but I think that was as much the opponent he was trying to watch out for as the match they had. I think Rollins going over and Corporate Kane being done is the biggest favor that Kane could have done for himself and his legacy, because I don't know about you, but I was tired of the Corporate Kane angle. Although I will admit, in the weeks leading up to this match, Corporate Kane was perhaps more entertaining than he ever had been. But it's not a loss of a character that I'm going to lose any sleep over. Now to get back to what I started with before I caught myself, I'm like, wait, there was a reason I was going into this, because the Kevin Owens Ryback match was in the perfect spot, in my opinion, on the pay-per-view, because you just had this world title match that everyone is still really hyped over because of the impact it has on the future of WWE and in the storylines. And this match gave them a chance to cool down, but it was still about a title that WWE wanted to keep in relevance. So, it was a good spot for it. And I must say, on the whole, Ryback and Kevin Owens put together a much better match than they did at Night of Champions, which I place the finger of blame squarely on the bald head of Ryback. For that first one, by the way, but I talked about that in my Night of Champions review. If you haven't seen that, by all means, go and check it out. This was a much better match because Ryback decided he wanted to move. He actually sold some things for Owens. Owens took a beating, like the heel champion is supposed to be, but he always managed to cut Ryback off when his power moves would put him in the ability to get caught and get countered. That was good. And then the heft of the meathead up into the pop-up powerbomb for the finish really made Owens look credible as, I can take whatever you got. I'm the guy who will fight anybody, and I will take whatever I have to hold on to my title. Good spot. And the fans cheered. It got them, pardon me, it got the pop I think WWE wanted for Owens, because I think with his recent losing streak going into this, the past few months before Night of Champions, I think it really showed that, yes, WWE wants him to be a player. So I'm all happy about that. Ryback looks solid, although I really question whether that Intercontinental title run and this match was the end of championship gold in his future. He really needs to work on himself and his interaction with the fans. Because even the Feed Me Mores were losing impact throughout the match. I don't know, this could be the downward spiral for the Ryback character, but Owens looked great. It was a good match, and it kept people hyped up for the main event of the night. The Hell in a Cell match between Taker and Brock Lesnar. Wow, this was a lot better than I expected, because we saw blood. That alone got me excited at the fact that we saw blood. But just in case anybody out there who's watching this is thinking, oh, the Wrestling Ranter is only happy when people get hurt in Hell in a Cell. He only wants to see people get hurt. No. Put your pitchforks and torches down for a second and listen to me. No one on WWE's roster should be taking Mick Foley-style chances in Hell in a Cell. And just in case you aren't aware of what I mean by Mick Foley-style chances, if you have the network, by all means, go watch the 1998 King of the Ring and watch that Hell in a Cell match he had with Undertaker. And then kindly explain to me how the hell he managed to walk away from that, because that man shouldn't be walking at all. Endless respect. What I'm saying is, the judicious use of blood in these types of matches lends to the fact that this is the end of this rivalry, lends to the drama of the match, lends to the credit of finality. In fact, I only have one gripe, and it's with neither superstar. Word has it, backstage, that Vince was unhappy. Not because there was blood in the match, although I can guarantee you he wasn't happy to see it. Vince was unhappy because both Lesnar and Taker shoved the doctors away when they were trying to clean up some of the blood in the match. Well, do I need to explain to you why that happened, Vince? You of all people should understand that momentum in a match is broken when doctors are coming in. Now, I understand you're in TVPG and you want to keep things cleaner for the kiddies. You are not accustomed to seeing blood, and you think that will lead people assuming that your product is too violent for children. Can I drop a nugget of information on you, sir? Your audience has gotten younger. You know this. And yet, there seems to be some question as to why your audience has gotten younger. It's not just because the demographic you once prized has had children, although that did have something to do with it. What has happened is that mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, and any other familial, that word that I'm trying to use, any other family members who are wrestling fans have sat down with young kids and showed them these classic style matches and said, this is why I think wrestling is cool. And then they think it's cool. And you have tried to take that away from them. So you can be mad at Lesnar and Taker for shoving your doctors away all you want. But they actually did you a favor because your momentum stops were killing that match. I was becoming angry at you Because I knew you were responsible for this. I liked the fact that Lesnar paid Taker back with a huge low blow of his own. I mean, Taker was a little, and he got it. But Lesnar, he reached down deep and boom, right in the grapefruits. Man, no wonder Taker went down. And the F5 looked amazing. The fact that Lesnar staggered going up the ramps shows the kind of physicality that Undertaker put him through. This match, I didn't have a problem with people kicking out of finishers, because that's something that, while it had been happening too much with both of these guys and the pride they had, it was believable that it took all of the best moves that these guys had in order to get the win. And I must say, it was a nice twist at the very end when Taker's standing in the ring, finally getting himself together a little bit. And here come the Wyatts. And they beat up Undertaker and they carry him out. And then the next night on Raw, the Wyatts do the same to little brother Kane. Now, just my prediction, but this is already setting up the Wyatt family versus the Brothers of Destruction for Survivor Series. But we need 2 more members on the Undertaker side to even things out with the Wyatt family. I've got one, Randy Orton, whenever he comes back, because we know he has beef with the Wyatts for what they've done to him. I don't honestly know who the 4th is going to be. And I'd like suggestions. You can drop them in the comment as to who you would like to see. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Let me extend this too while I'm at it to anyone watching this video. I am not afraid of people telling me what they liked and didn't like about my videos. I want to hear it because I want to get better. So, if you guys like my video, great. Click the thumbs up. If you dislike my video, that's fine too. Click that thumbs down. But I humbly request that you tell me what you didn't like about it. Even if it's just, I don't like your opinion. Okay, we can work with that. I'm not changing my opinion, but I'm glad to know. Anyway, my overall rating for this pay-per-view is 8.5 out of 10. There are some things I would have liked to have seen different, but on the whole, like I said at the start of the pay-per-view, this is the best pay-per-view that WWE has put out so far this year. It leaves me asking one glaring question. Why can't you do this all the damn time? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later. Ranter off the soapbox. Have a great day.